the second time when he shot me as I'm falling back, I noticed the force of the bullet when it hit me. I was falling backwards. But as I was falling backwards, I started to black out. But when I started blacking out, falling backwards, I immediately was falling forward. Very hard to explain. I was literally laying on my back, but yet I was falling forward. Okay. The first thing I noticed was nothingness. Okay. It's the darkness that is so dark. It is so, I mean, the darkness, like I always explain, is alive. It is gripping, and it's a terror that you can't explain here on this earth. There's nothing that can come close. Like I always try to say, like if you could put blindfolds on, bury you, then put blindfolds on again, it still wouldn't be match that darkness. It had a spiritual component to it. It was alive. It was thriving. But as I'm falling, and it had to be the faster than the speed of light. I mean, it was in a different dimension, but the speed at which I was falling was so fast. But I noticed as I was falling, okay, I get, sometimes I get a little tied up because when I remember it, I can still feel the emotions behind it. But as I was falling, it felt like I was getting stripped away of everything good, hope, love, laughter, joy, fellowship. Everything was getting stripped. The further and the faster I was falling, the more and more I felt naked, a spiritual nakedness. Okay, it was a vulnerability that you can't describe here on earth. Okay, it's a stripping of the soul and character and of attributes of yourself that no matter what you go through here on earth, it doesn't even come close. So as I'm falling and falling, I noticed it was a horrible smell. The stench of this smell, like I say, everything there is because now that I realize in hindsight, I was in my spirit body. I was in the spirit form. But the smell, you can take anything here on earth, dead corpse, animals, anything, and put it all in one big, and it still would not get close to this horrible, horrible smell. And I want everyone to realize in the spirit realm, you do not lose your five senses. You do not lose your taste, your sense of taste, smell, hearing, sight. Actually, they are heightened. Okay? They are magnified. So the smell, and as I'm falling and I'm smelling this, then I saw a little light, little pin drop of light as I'm falling, and it started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I noticed that this light, I heard voices, screams. When I say screams, you can feel it in your whole soul. You can feel it in your whole body. But the weirdest part about these screams, just say if you have a lot of noise playing at one time, or just say if you have a lot of music playing at one time, you can distinctively hear each individual scream simultaneously. And I know there will have to be millions, maybe billions of these screams and screams. But as I'm falling, it's like a portal opening. The light starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm looking, and it looks like a ancient cave system. But then I feel heat, undescribable heat as I'm falling. I mean, it's kind of hard to put in terms. That's why I try my best to use descriptive words that we kind of know, because the spirit world has a component to it that everything is magnified. Not only is it magnified, everything has vibrational feeling to it. Everything. It's a different fabric of existence. It's a different format. It's a whole completely different texture of existence. So as I'm falling, I'm hearing these screams. I smell the smells, and instantly I knew I'm going. This is hell. As I'm falling, because we here on earth, we always measure things in time. Time. Time doesn't exist in the spiritual realm. It doesn't exist at all. There is no time. That's why I was wondering how I had all of this time, quote, may I say, to think all these thoughts simultaneously as I'm falling, probably faster than the speed of light, to be able to analyze all of these things. But like I say, your senses are heightened. Your awareness is definitely your sense. You know that you know that you know in the spirit body. There's nothing to hold you back from knowing anything, because time doesn't exist. Time is usually the barrier that holds you back from knowing things here on earth. But as I'm falling down, the portal gets bigger, and I notice there's rocks. There's like an ancient rock portal that I'm falling through. And the heat, it is so bad. But when I fall through, and that's the sound. It was just like the sound was the feeling at the same time. It's like a swoosh, and I hit the bottom. Now, as I hit, it was darkening still, but then all of a sudden I saw like pits, and the only way I can see is because the illumination of these pits were flaming. It was like just bursting like little furnaces, and then that's how I can see. But then what terrified me the most, okay, is the fact that as I'm laying there, the pits when they were illuminating the space that I was in, I looked. You saw, I mean, thousands, as far as your eye can see, of these pits. And there were people in these pits. Okay. Some of them were skeletal, some of them had flesh hanging off of them, and they were like in pools of lava. But when I really looked, there were these demons, creatures, reptile looking things. Some of them were huge. Some of them I would just guesstimate them to say 13 feet tall, 12 feet tall. Some of them were small. Some of them were like 3 feet tall. They were just so grotesque. And there were so many of them standing around the pits while people were trying to crawl out the pits. They were throwing them back in. They had like these rusty, everything looks ancient there too, as far as the tools they were using. I'm gonna describe that soon enough. But they would try to get out, and they were kicking them in, and they were laughing and just throwing these people back in these pits. I mean, as far as your eye can see, I mean, and there's people screaming and yelling and horror. Like it is undescribable. I wouldn't wish no one to even visit this place. But when I looked and analyzed and was looking at these demon creatures, I noticed a reptilian thing to them. They always, their eyes were red. Some of them eyes were yellow. They had the slits of a reptile. They had their hands were massive, especially the giant ones. The giant ones, they were the most intimidating. But even the smaller ones were more intimidating because I felt more of a hate. I always try to describe people that the hate that these demonic things, that these demonic beings have for us, it is so powerful. Just the hate alone. If that's how I know there's something holding it back. Even here on earth, when they harass us and terrorize us, there's got to be some kind of shield holding back that hatred, because just the vibration from the hate alone is so powerful. It is ancient, it's powerful, it is dark, it is gripping. They hate us. And hate is an understatement. That's just the closest word I can use to try to help people just kind of imagine and feel to get close to it. But as I'm laying and I can't get up. See, so we're so used to being in the physical body, I thought I was breathing. So when I tried to breathe, I couldn't breathe. It was like it was hard. It was so hard because now, like I say, hindsight and looking back, the Lord has revealed a lot of things. I wasn't breathing at all, but we're so used to breathing subconsciously, just self response. I couldn't breathe. I thought I was breathing. It would just, and then it would just make me more panicked. Then I tried to get up and move, and my movement, it felt like I weighed at least 800, 900 pounds. My movement was so restricted. It was just hard for me to move. It was hard for me to even, and that was the least of my worries. I was just noticing that I can't move, I can't breathe. But as I'm looking around, okay, there is torture happening beyond. Okay, and I learned too. There's many departments or compartments of hell. Okay, and when I looked, they were ripping people's mouths open and pouring lava down their throats. They were, and the thing that really is a supernatural element to it, because of those who, because like I said before, some people had skeletal, just burnt skeletons, but some people had actual flesh on them. And when they would get ripped off, like I saw a demon one time, he was ripped off this whole lady's arm, and she was screaming in so much agony, and then her arm grew right back. It's hard to explain. It's rejuvenated. It came right back. And they were just doing it over and over, ripping off her apart, ripping her to shreds. And all of a sudden, her abdomen with no legs and no arms will start growing right back. And then they'll have other demons join in and do it all over again, and all over again. It was just a repetitive thing of torture, nonstop. And I saw that kind of same theme all over, but it was so indescribable what they were doing to people. They have all kind of like I was saying, ancient. Everything looked rusty and old. Spears, like hooks, things with hooks on them with chains, and they would take people and they would put these hook things in people's mouths, and then they would rip their whole heads backwards. And you can still hear the person screaming. And then yet, when they rip the flesh off,